Put yourself in this position. You're Helmut Marko, and now you're in charge of Red Bull's driver program. Your team has just had the most dominant year in the sport's history and are favourites to take the title honours once again in 2024. One of your eyes might not work, and if you go anywhere near Twitter, they'll call you a racist bigot who should die in a hole, but you've got a net worth of $1.5 million, so you really don't give a shit. It sounds like a pretty decent place to be, doesn't it? Well, right now, it isn't, and I'm not just talking about the Christian Horner situation. Red Bull Racing and its sister team, Visa Cash App RB, are carrying strong driver lineups into the 2024 F1 season. In the former, you've got reigning world champion Max Verstappen, who's arguably the best racing driver on the planet right now, alongside Sergio Perez, who is good. Yeah. Meanwhile, at RB, you have Yuki Tsunoda, a driver who keeps engine supplier Honda happy, and provided you keep him off the Haribo, is building confidence with every single lap in a Formula 1 car, alongside seasoned veteran Daniel Ricciardo, who, now he remembers how to do his job again, brings in the results as well as a vast amount of technical knowledge and know-how. Even outside that team, you've got the likes of Liam Lawson, who was excellent in his stand-in performances for Ricciardo last year, and will continue to be a safe pair of hands if he's needed at any point in the future. We've not even touched on the pool of talent waiting in the wings of the Red Bull Junior team, and that's just where the problem lies. While RB used to be the training ground for young talent, the team itself have admitted that that's not really its purpose anymore, and all the while the junior program has continued to throw its drivers through the ranks like Jos Verstappen. Actually, I think we'll just leave that joke on the table, you know. What that's created is a bit of a bottleneck in the chain. It's not a problem unique to Red Bull necessarily, just look at Théo Pourchaire's situation for example, but perhaps Milton Keynes get most of the heat for two reasons. One, they have double the seats on offer, and two, many are of the opinion that this bottleneck could be easily relieved just by euthanizing Perez. After Mark Webber retired at the end of 2013, there was a fairly steady flow of drivers through Red Bull's ranks, and while this was somewhat helped by the likes of Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo moving on to pastures new, a lot of drivers would get into that Red Bull seat and just not cut it. This has been more the case in recent years. Sergio Perez's turn at the start of 2021 marked a significant shift in focus, signing up an older driver with more experience to take the fight to the ever-dominant Verstappen, and initially, it looked to be the right call. While in terms of pure lap time and the gap to Verstappen, Perez wasn't much better than his predecessors, his actions on track, take his stark defence against Lewis Hamilton in Abu Dhabi for example, gave Red Bull exactly what they maybe lacked before, in a year where Verstappen needed a wingman more than ever. 2022 and 2023 saw Red Bull become a much more dominant force, but have also seen Perez's performances slip further and further back. That wasn't so much a problem last year, as the Red Bull and race trim was so efficient, Max would be on the plane home before anyone else had completed lap 2, and Checo could still snag close to a podium no matter how far back he started. But there's no guarantee that will be the case in 2024. F1 is entering its third season of stable regulations this year, meaning car design begins to follow the law of diminishing returns. In layman's terms, the amount of performance you can extract out of a car gets smaller and smaller the better and better that you make it. We've seen this already with the car concept seen on the launch spec 2024 machines, with most teams rolling out ideas very much in line with the RB19 from last year, Ferrari doing its own thing because Ferrari obviously knows best, and Red Bull making some significant philosophy changes despite all of its success last season. The radical look of the RB20 shows just how much the team are fearing its rivals in 2024, so will Checo's lackluster performances be enough to keep Verstappen safe this time around? You see, I just don't think so. At the same time, you've got the sister team, and the big question mark over Daniel Ricciardo. We saw glimpses of the Daniel of old at races such as Mexico last year, and with the Aussie stock rising, you can expect other teams to start to show interest with so many seats available in 2025. Given Ricciardo has been so heavily linked to Perez's seat, you would imagine there's not many better options for Daniel to consider. That would work for Red Bull, effectively giving them full control of the situation and being able to give Checo as much time as either he or they need to come to a final decision. The only thing that might throw a spanner in the works is if a Mercedes or Ferrari seat became available. And oh look where little Lewis Hamilton's run off to. Now I can't really see Daniel going to Mercedes, but if that's an option, Red Bull can't sit on this as long as they maybe anticipated they could only a few weeks ago. My take on all this? The early races of 2024 are going to be vital for Sergio Perez if he wants to continue his Formula 1 career. I was giving him until mid-season before, but now, well, look what happened to Danny Kvyat over here. In his case, it was a matter of getting Verstappen into the main team before Jos got too friendly with Ferrari and Mercedes, and whilst the stakes aren't quite as high this time with Daniel, making the change could solve a lot of the dilemma I outlined earlier. Firstly, it would free up a seat at RB for their current reserve driver Liam Lawson. The Kiwi also holds some cards in this 2025 driver market and has arguably proven himself to be one of the more promising prospects in Red Bull's current driver pool. If he's left on the sidelines for much longer, it's no guarantee other teams won't come to call. Williams, I think, being the biggest contenders here, the Grove outfit are just slowly becoming the Red Bull reject club at this point. Ditching Perez, promoting Ricciardo, and in turn Lawson, all of a sudden solves that driver bottleneck. I've not mentioned Tsunoda's name much here, but it's pretty much F1's worst kept secret that he'll be Aston Martin bound when Honda make that their works outfit in the next couple of years. The only real loser here would of course be Sergio Perez. While it would be a shame to see his long career end mid-season, as I've said in videos before, he's not made it necessarily easy for himself. There's always a chance he could make a return. Someone like Haas or Sauber may fancy the Mexican's experience, but those options would likely relegate him to the back rows of the grid for the remainder of his time in Formula 1. That said, is that much different to where he is now? Just saying. Are there any benefits to keeping Perez though? Well, it might keep Max happy, not that he and Ricciardo don't get along, but out of the pair, Daniel is more likely to be the one challenging the Dutchman for wins, provided he really is back to his form from his initial Red Bull stint like the team think he is. I'm also imagining this year's Mexican Grand Prix without Sergio Perez in it, and that thought would scare me if I was anywhere near the top of Red Bull's management chain right now. I do think it's worth me admitting here though that, as any regular viewer of this channel will know, I am a massive Daniel Ricciardo fan, so if I'm just being too biased, please do lambast me in the comments below. To be fair, it's not like you don't do that anyway. Fact of the matter is, the next few months will be massive in the future of Red Bull's driver lineup, and extending that, Formula 1 on a whole. The team are currently in an incredibly challenging stick or twist dilemma, so what would you do? Let me know down in the comments section below. I've also put out a poll on my community page for this very issue. I'll be totally honest, it is just to siphon more engagement of you guys, but it'll be interesting to gauge the overall opinion here. Before I go, I want to say a huge thank you to all my patrons and channel members who got this video early, so if that's something you're interested in, do check out the links in this video's description. I'll be back very soon with another video, but until then, have a good one.